Hello everyone. Today we are looking at lead code problem 3354, which is an easy problem. Let's see what this problem says. So in this problem, the question says make array elements equal to 0. So this is the expectation. Let's understand what it's saying. So we have given an integer array nums. We can choose an index which has value 0 and a direction of traversal, which can be left or right. And then we have to follow. So if this is my starting state, from this starting state, I have to follow a bunch of instructions or steps. And I have to see if I can get to 0 array, which means all the elements in the array have become 0. If this happens, then this is a successful state. I have to count it, and I have to say how many times for different index positions and different possibilities of directions can I get this state. So I have to count all those times that this happens. Now let's look at the steps that we have to execute. So if the current position is of value 0, then I just continue moving in the direction that I was already traversing. So let's say I had an integer array like this. Let's say I had something like this, and this is the point where I'm starting, and let's say the direction that I had picked was right. So I come here, I see, okay, the value is 0, and then I continue moving in the same direction. But in case I end up, because I'm traversing to different positions now, let's say if I end up at a different value, which is greater than 0, then I will have to decrement this value by 1, and now I will change my direction. So if I was going right, now I'll go left. And what I will do is I will change my direction, and after that I will move to the next index as well. And the iteration continues like this till the pointer runs out of bounds. Okay, so and we have to return the number of states that will get me the 0 array. That is the whole problem. So the problem is quite simple. It's just the direct implementation of what they've asked. So let's quickly get to the code itself. Okay. So this is the main function they've given me. Count, valid selections, and in this they have given me nums, which is list of integer, and I have to return the count, the number of times different states options give me 0 array. So let's first define that valid selection is equal to 0. Now let's iterate and start. So for index comma number in enumerate of nums, if if the value is equal to 0, great, this is our starting point. We will have to check this for two directions, going left from this index and going right from this index. So let's assume I have a helper method called check valid, which will take a copy of nums because I'm going to update. I'll have to decrement the value. I cannot decrement the value of the original array. That will affect the other iteration that I need to do. So I'll take a copy, and then I'll also pass the index, which is the starting point, and then I will also pass the direction. So let's say this direction is equal to 1, which is if I take the direction equal to 1, it means that I'm going to be going right, because I will take my current pointer and I will say current plus 1. So I'm going right. And if likewise, if I have -1, I'm moving left. So if this helper method returns me true, great. I can say that my valid selection can be incremented by 1. So I got one valid selection. Let's also check the other direction. So if self dot check valid copy of nums, same index, but here the direction is different. Direction is equal to -1. If this also returns me true, then I'll say valid selections plus equal to 1. And finally, I just return this count, which is valid selections. Alright, so we are done with the main method. Now let's write the helper method. Self check valid selection self nums. Let's call the index as cur because that's what was called in the problem. And then I say direction. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a continuous iteration because I'm either continuously moving in one direction, or whenever I see a value greater than 0, I decrement it and I reverse my direction. So I'm sort of moving back and forth till my pointer goes out of bound. So let's use the while loop for that. While the pointer is greater than 1 and the pointer is less than the length of number, what I'll do is check the first condition. If nums of cur is equal to 0, then I don't do anything. I will just increment my pointer, which is equal to moving in the direction. And then what happens is, if it is greater, then we'll have the else condition where we will say that, okay, let's decrement the value by 1 and then reverse the direction. So direction becomes equal to direction into -1. It got reversed, and then I do this step again. But I'm not necessarily doing anything extra when the value is equal to 0. So I can just optimize, clean this up, and say the condition that I check is if nums of cur is greater than 0. Then I do this, and then for all possible values, I have to move. So I will say cur is equal to cur plus direction. So this step happens all the time. And then finally, we will return the state if I have reached a 0 array or not. So let's return the Boolean value. In terms of time complexity, what we can say is that we are traversing for every index. For every index, we are doing approximately n traversals. So the time complexity can be given as n square for this. And if you think about the space complexity, at a time we are dealing with only one function call. So it's either this or this. And that point of time, we have created another copy, which is order of n, plus we already have the original one sitting in the memory, which will sit in the stack. So at a time, we will have like order of 2 times n, still order of n. So space complexity is order of n here. That's about it for this problem. I'll see you again tomorrow with the next one. Bye.